Okay, next we're going to actually go and perform the configuration to fire up, can configure a simple basic clientless SSL VPN tunnel. So the use case is going to be, we're going to still use ASA as the VPN gateway. That's in the scope of the CCNA exam. And test PCA as the client. This time it's going to use the browser. And once the SSL VPN tunnel is going to be established, what we're going to do is that in the portal of ASA, we're going to publish a bookmark, which is going to allow the client to get access. We're going to publish an HTTP bookmark 2 out of 4. So what's going to happen is that through the portal, PCA is going to be able to get access to the web portal of router 4 by using a bookmark. So that's going to be our setup. Let's go and configure the ASA for that. So we're going to make use of the GUI to begin with as well, initially. Close. Of course, let's go on PCA and disconnect to begin with from the any connect session. On server A, I'm going to go likewise to wizards, VPN wizards, clientless SSL VPN wizard. Let me say cancel and refresh to make sure we read the latest configuration of the ASA. Refresh. So wizards, VPN wizards, clientless SSL VPN wizards. We say next. First, we configure the connection profile name, which is going to be, let's say, clientless SSL. On which interface do we want to terminate those sessions? Likewise, on the inside interface in my case. What is the certificate? I'm going to use the one which I have installed previously for the any connect session. And what is going to be the group alias? As we did in the case of client-based, we're going to publish the tunnel group name in the portal so that when the user connects via our browser, it's going to be able to click and choose and select to which connection profile to connect. As I stated, ideally this is not the way to do it, but for the CCNA exam, it's good enough. We're going to speak in more details about all of those options in the CCNP class. Group alias or URL, group alias. I'm not going to specify actually a URL in here. We're going to do it on the CLI, or let's say display. Group alias name is going to be clientless SSL. Next. Authentication is going to be performed likewise using the local database. Using the local database of users, I'm going to make use of the same user SSL VPN users. Say next. Group policy, let's configure a new one. Give it a name to be called clientless. Let's say GP clientless. Group policy clientless. Say next. We're going to add a bookmark. This is probably from another class. Let's say delete. Say add. Give a name to the bookmark. Let's call it BK clientless. We give the name. We say add. Just 1 second. Say cancel. Bookmark list. Okay, say add, and then we add in that bookmark what kind of resources do you want to publish as a bookmark. It's going to be an HTTP session, HTTPS, FTP, CEFs, or the plugins. So I'm going to say URL, which means HTTP, the first one. Okay. Bookmark title, because a bookmark list is going to have multiple bookmarks entries. So we have to give now a title or a name to the HTTP bookmark, which I'm going to publish in the portal. So again, it makes sense that it's called the bookmark list. So it's going to have a list of entries. In one bookmark, you can publish in there an HTTP session, an FTP bookmark, an HTTP bookmark, a RDP bookmark, whatever you want. It makes sense that now you have to also give a name to the specific bookmark you want to publish. It's going to be HTTP to router 4. And what is the URL? It's going to be HTTP traffic to the loopback of router 4. We say OK. We say OK. We say next. And finish. And let me copy this again in Notepad. Actually, let's publish this as it is. Let's publish it. Let's say finish. I'm gonna of course also copy this, but let's use now the ASDM. Let's say send. Now, if you look in here in the end resulting configuration, technically speaking, it should have been like this. Let me put all the commands in there, but not all commands have been let's say configured per our steps, because for example, web VPN has been pre-configured already and enabled from the previous step. So technically speaking, this should have been in there as the step. So enable web VPN for clientless on the inside interface, configure what transport to use for SSL VPN sessions. Then of course this is going to be the bookmark part, which is only configurable via ASDM. So we had to do that from ASDM. Then following the previous configuration, there is no pool and no split tunneling configured. The split tunneling is going to be built in because users are going to get access to the SSL VPN tunnel only to resources you publish in the portal, either via bookmarks or via port forwarding or smart tunneling. So split tunneling is built in clientless SSL VPNs. Then you configure so in our case, authorization was only the bookmark. Then the group policy has been configured, which was named GP clientless. And as you can see, we restricted so that sessions can only be of type SSL clientless for this group policy. And then we have binded the authorization, which is the bookmark, under the group policy. Then you configure the tunnel group part, which is of type remote access. We then state what is the attached group policy to this tunnel group. So which means SSL connections landing on this tunnel group are going to get what kind of authorization attributes as specified in the group policy. And then in the web VPN attributes, I've configured the alias, which means this is going to be published in the web portal, so users are going to be able to choose that connection profile, connect to it, and get authenticated. And of course, the last step was to also configure the username. Didn't show up in the configuration because this was pre-configured likewise from the previous example. So again, you have to be able to follow up on those boxes. That's what I'm doing this, because as I stated, if you want to become a good engineer, you always have to understand the reason of a technology, how does it work, make the building blocks of that technology, how the blocks are connected to each other, just no configuration, no commands, just knowledge. And then when we go to configuration side, you have to be able to map the configuration template to those boxes. Because if something is broken, doesn't work, if you know what each box does, you're going to be able to understand on which step the technology breaks. You're going to be able to know where to look in the configuration side to fix the problem. So now going on the client side, and of course the last step is going to be, let's make sure that on router 4 the web server is enabled. Let's go on router 4 and say show IP HTTP server status, and it is disabled. Let's enable it. IP HTTP enable, and IP HTTP, let's say authentication. I want to authenticate any HTTP sessions to the router using the local database of users, local. And let's configure a username for that, which requires privilege level 15. So all HTTP session requires a level of 15. Username, router 4 user, privilege 15, password, router 4, password Cisco. Let's confirm HTTP was enabled, show IP HTTP server status, and it is now. Now let's go on the client, on the PC, FireWrapper supported browser. I'm going to use, let's say, Internet Explorer. I'm going to say HTTPS, and the IP address of the VPN gateway 136.1.37.16. Let's make sure again I can ping the ASA, and I can. It gives this message because again the certificate of the ASA is not trusted. I'm going to say continue, and I'm going to select from there the connection profile for Clientless. Username to be SSL VPN user with a password of Cisco, as configured on the ASA. Login, and then we see the published bookmarks in here, web bookmarks. Of course, we would have HTTP bookmarks, which is web bookmarks. We could have FTP bookmarks, CIFS bookmarks, RDP, VNC, Telnet SSH bookmarks. And it says, as you can see, it's the name of the bookmark is the name of the HTTP bookmark we configured on the ASA. We don't see in there the name of the bookmark list. That's only natively, that's only let's say, that's only known by the ASA and only relevant to the ASA. But the bookmark title is relevant for the user because he knows now that if he's going to connect on that link in there, he's going to get connected to the HTTP portal of router 4. And ideally, when you connect in there, when you click the URL, you should click on the small arrow so that the web session to that portal is going to router 4 is going to be opening in a different tab of your browser. Otherwise, it's going to open in the same tab, and it's going to be very confusing for users to get back and forth to the web portal, to the main portal. So connecting there is going to open a new tab. So ideally, you should instruct your users to connect on that arrow to get access to the bookmarks as published in the portal. And there we go. This is the router 4 asking for authentication now. Let's put in there the username of router R4 user with a password of Cisco. R4 user with a password of Cisco. Continue. And we got connected to router 4. And to confirm that the ASA proxies, because the client doesn't have an address assigned, so tunnel was built. So the user is going to send to the ASA, I want access to that bookmark. I want to get access to the HTTP server of router 4. And that's one session. And then we have another session which the ASA initiates proxies in the name of the client, and it sources that HTTP session with its IP address of that interface, which is 136.1.47.16. So if you look on router 4 now, and you say show IP, HTTP server connection server history, as you can see, we have a session being active, and the source of that HTTP session is the ASA, not the actual client, as expected. Now if you look on the verification part, Before we go there, one more thing which I wanted to show you. So if we don't click on that small tiny arrow and if you click on the main bookmark, which is this is not something that you would want to do, it's going to open that bookmark in the same page. So then users have lost access to the main portal. If you want to get back to the main portal, ideally you don't hit back, but you should go in here and access home page. So you have to instruct your users how to browse to the portal properly, because otherwise if they click on the main bookmark and then if they click on the bookmark without clicking that small arrow, then once they have done their job in here, if they want to access other resources from the portal, they don't know how to get back. So they need to, in this case, they need to click on this home to get in the home page in the main portal. Now if we look on the ASA to verify the session, we say show VPN, show VPN session database, detail of type web VPN, so clientless. And as you can see, we have one session and PCA connected. There's no address assigned, it's clientless, protocol is type clientless. And the session has landed, has been connected to that connection profile, and was authorized as that group policy. And pretty much that's it. And of course, TLS was negotiated in my case on port 443, SHA-1 as hashing, and RC4 as encryption, in which case is very weak. If you go on the GUI to verify the same thing on the ASA, so likewise you go to the monitoring tab, to the VPN section, to the sessions, and then here you filter now based on clientless SSL VPNs. And if you say details, you're going to see the same thing as in the show VPN session database command from the CLI. So you're seeing here the clientless tunnel, traffic being sent and received, and also how the tunnel is being run. In there, what is the TLS version, encryption, hashing, and so on.